All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're zooming in on a very specific moment, something captured online. We're going to see what we can unpack from it. We've got some interesting source material here, mostly focusing on one article from People magazine.
That's right. And that article really zeroes in on a single, very public social media post, David Beckham's Instagram tribute, from Sunday, June 15th, 2025, Father's Day.
Exactly. So our mission, our plan for this deep dive is to really pull apart the details of that post, look at what was in it, what it said, and then try to figure out what it might actually signify, especially when you put it alongside some other information that the article mentions.
Well, and public figures, they navigate their lives under, well, a microscope, don't they? Social media is such a key tool for them. They use it to connect, share moments, and, let's be honest, manage their public image. Posts like this Beckham one, they're often not just casual shares. They can be quite deliberate, and they definitely draw attention, especially if there's maybe a whisper of something else happening behind the scenes.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because this specific Father's Day post, it makes a real point of featuring one particular family member, even though just last month, another source was talking about some notable tension involving him. All right, so let's get into the details. This June 15th post, David Beckham, he's 50 now. He shared a whole series of photos with his kids for Father's Day, and the caption, it was pretty direct.
Very direct. He wrote, my most important and favorite job in life is being a dad. And then, I'm so proud of all of you, and like Daddy, sorry boys, tells you every single day I will always be here for you no matter what.
That's quite a statement, isn't it? Really centering fatherhood.
Absolutely. And the article makes sure to point out that he included photos with all his children. So Harper, she's 13 now, Brooklyn, who's 26, Romeo, 22, and Cruz, 20.
And he tagged Victoria, who's 51, and the sons. Plus, he used the hashtag for Harper, right? So
Yeah,
her own account.
it's very inclusive in the tagging, too.
And he didn't stop there in the caption. He gave a specific shout out to Victoria, saying, Mummy, thank you for doing the most important part in making me a father. There is no greater gift in life than making me a dad. And then ended with, Happy Father's Day. I love you kiddies more than you could imagine. EC.
It really feels like a very intentional, all-encompassing family declaration, covers all the bases.
And the photos themselves, they add to it.
Oh, definitely. The images are part of that message. He started with that sweet throwback picture, didn't he? The 3 boys holding baby Harper.
Yeah, lovely shot.
Yeah.
And then the current photos, a mix of selfies with him and each of the kids.
And the article specifically mentions one selfie, the one where he and Brooklyn are together, and they're both showing off like really similar grins.
Right, that classic dad and son matching grin photo. You know, the one. And he kept going, didn't he? Not just the main feed. The article says he continued on his Instagram stories, sharing more pics, one of just the boys, one with Harper calling her pretty lady, that kind of thing.
And that collective shot, too, of all 4 kids cuddled up with Victoria, which he captioned, my favorite gift of all time.
So across the board, grid and stories, the whole emphasis was just family unity, affection, everyone included.
Right. And adding to that picture, Victoria posted her own tribute to David for Father's Day on her Instagram, writing, Happy Father's Day to the best daddy there is. You always lead with love, and our 4 beautiful children are a reflection of that. We all love you so, so much.
So online, at least, it's a very solid, united front.
Very much so. It reinforces that image.
Okay, but here's that layer of complexity we hinted at, the reported tension. Because the article specifically notes that David featured his eldest son, Brooklyn, quite prominently, despite those recent reports suggesting, well, some strain within the family.
Yes, exactly. The article brings up a separate source, someone who spoke to people back in May of this year, so just a month before this post. And that source apparently said quite directly that there are tensions. Tensions between Brooklyn, his wife Nicola Peltz, and the wider Beckham family.
Wow, okay. And didn't that May source also say something about David's 50th birthday party?
It did. It mentioned that Brooklyn and Nicola reportedly weren't at his big 50th celebration that same month, May.
Right.
Now, that same source did add a bit of nuance. They suggested the relationship wasn't, beyond repair, and that the family loves Brooklyn. They're always there for him. But they also apparently conveyed feelings of being hurt and disappointed that he's now playing no part in family life. That's quite a strong phrase.
Playing no part in family life.
Yeah, that is strong. So you've got that distinct report of strain, of perceived distance, just weeks before this very public Father's Day post, which makes that decision the explicit choice to include Brooklyn so prominently. Even picking that photo with the matching grins, It feels very deliberate, doesn't it? Like a public response, almost.
It certainly reads like a counter-narrative, like a way to use this huge platform, this universally understood thing, like Father's Day, to project an image of connection.
Of togetherness.
Yeah, maybe overriding or at least visually pushing back against those reports of distance.
Exactly. It's a strategic use of social media, isn't it? To manage the public perception of family dynamics. Basically says, look, we are a family. He is included. He is celebrated here.
And it's not like this is just a one-off post either. The article points out it fits into a pattern. Other recent public family moments shared online.
That's a good point. Like the day before Father's Day, June 14th, Victoria posted about David getting his knighthood from King Charles, called him her knight in shining armor. And David replied publicly, I love you all on. Again, very public declarations.
And the article mentions other examples too from the past year or so.
Yeah, like last year's U.S. Mother's Day, Victoria shared a family pic, all 4 kids with her, referencing David's earlier UK Mother's Day post, keeping that consistency.
And Christmas this past year, Victoria posted those very stylish photos, the whole family together, and importantly, that included Nicola Peltz Beckham, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Nicola was right there in the Christmas photos.
They were quite striking photos, everyone coordinated in black, very much presented as a united family.
And Victoria's caption for those was also about togetherness. Something like, being together for the holidays makes me so happy. I love you all so much.
So you see this series then, these very public, curated family moments online.
Mother's Day, Christmas last year, the knighthood post just before, and now this Father's Day post from David. All consistently presenting the family as together, often including everyone.
Even when that separate report from May suggested, tension and distance with Brooklyn specifically.
It's a clear demonstration of actively managing that public image, isn't it? Especially when there might be conflicting narratives floating around out there.
Okay, so let's try and summarize what we've unpacked here. We've looked really closely at David Beckham's Father's Day post from June 15th, 2025. We noted his really explicit message about fatherhood, family pride.
And the very deliberate inclusion of all his children, especially Brooklyn, which stands out because of that reported tension mentioned by another source back in May.
Right. And we saw how this post fits into this broader pattern as context of other recent family social media activity the article detailed. Things like Victoria's own tributes, those family photos from Mother's Day and Christmas that showed everyone together.
Yeah, and we pulled out those specific details. David being 50, the kids' ages, Harper 13, Brooklyn 26, Romeo 22, Cruz 20, Victoria at 51. The actual quotes from David's caption, the choice of photos, like that selfie with Brooklyn.
And how other posts showed the full family unit, Nicola included, like in those coordinated Christmas shots. Victoria in her midi-dress and fishnets, Nicola in a leather jacket and red corset, apparently. Very specific details in the source.
They really paint a picture, don't they?
So this snapshot of a very public family's online life, it really seems to underscore the effort involved in presenting that united front, even when reports suggest things might be, more complicated privately.
It really shows the power of social media. It's not just for sharing your breakfast, is it? It's a tool to potentially influence the public narrative about your relationships, your family life.
And I think, we're drawn to these stories, aren't we? Because they touch on things we all relate to. Family bonds, navigating differences.
And the very modern, very public performance of some of that playing out in this kind of digital town square, which actually, it raises an important question, I think, for all of us in this age where we get these glimpses into supposedly private lives shared through these, let's face it, carefully crafted posts. How do we, as the audience, as observers, how do we learn to distinguish between that curated presentation and whatever the underlying reality might be?
That's a really good point.
And maybe what responsibility do we have, if any, in how we interpret these digital moments, these curated glimpses? Something to think about.